Hi, I want to take this time to introduce you to a whole new series on LGBT travel. It's a panel series where you're going to hear different perspectives and voices from LGBT travel influencers, bloggers, video bloggers, and so forth, including also some that are hybrids. Some are a little bit more on the journalism side, and others are tour operators and influencers as well. So let's get started. How did you get started in the world of gay travel and influencing?
Well, it was kind of the decision was kind of made for me. I was a luxury writer in 2008, and that's when the Great Recession happened, and the world was on fire. People were not hiring, and I had to freelance.
Yeah.
I really did. And I was on Twitter and I was on like LinkedIn and Facebook. I actually lost a job. I lost an interview because I wasn't on Instagram at the time of that interview.
Oh,
Yes. And she asked if I was on Instagram. I said no, and she literally did this. She tossed her head at me, and I downloaded Instagram. And but I am a real photo bug when I'm on a
yeah,
trip.
yeah,
3 days, I can take 600 photos, and I've done that. So I started doing that, and people began liking what I did.
yeah,
So I was not trying to become an influencer at the time. I hadn't even heard the
mhm,
term at that time.
yeah,
But all of a sudden, you at 1 week you're at 1,000 followers, and the next week you're at like 1,500 followers, and next week you're at 2,000 followers, and all of a sudden, people are just starting to like, hey, you're really good. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
I
then there
published
we
Unite
go.
magazine. Publishing is hard, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this video either work for a publication or own a gay publication as well. My business partner at the time was just tired of doing them because at the time, we had Nashville, Indianapolis, and a national one. So we were doing three magazines at one time, and it just got to be overwhelming. So my business partner at the time was just tired and wanted to give it up. So I gave it up. We didn't sell it. We just sort of shut it down. But the one aspect of the publication that I loved was the travel column. I loved doing that. So I was like, what could I do where I could still travel, still be in the LGBT segment? So I launched Pride Journeys about 3 years ago now. And since it was a digital only outlet, I wanted to create relationships with other media to get my stories out there.
yeah,
There's another syndicated travel column that I'm sure you're familiar with, but so I saw that concept. I was like, oh, well, I like that. So maybe I'll look to some of the publishers that they're not using and see if they want to run my stories as well.
yeah,
So I've just had a large amount of success just partnering with other media. I do more than just travel. I have an interesting interview. I interviewed Robin last year or earlier this year, so I syndicated that as well. Robin does not do a ton of interviews, so she was coming to Columbus, Ohio, and I interviewed her before that show, and I syndicated that. And maybe one or two others I've syndicated this year that are non-travel related. But it's just been fun, and I'm just trying to adapt to my lack of travel.
yeah,
I used to be on the road every month, and now it's like once every few months. So,
yeah. I know we're all in that
Oh, well, phew. um, well, it all began in Whistler, really,
yeah,
when I was part of a hotel team that was in Whistler, and we had learned that the Animal Gay Ski Week was going to collapse, and so there was a small team of us. We came together and we came up with a plan to save it,
yeah,
and that just threw me down this rabbit hole of gayness, and so I had to come out to my family like oh, by the way, I'll be on the 6 o'clock news, so hopefully you're okay with me being gay now.
yeah,
So yeah, it was a real crazy ride, and that just opened up other opportunities along the way, like going to the first World Out Games in Montreal and learning about that, going to the Human Rights Conference, um, and then co-founding Mr. Gay World and creating Mr. Gay Canada, and just creating more and more visibilities through that. And then eventually I went on to creating Pride House for the 2010 Olympics. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just been a really crazy ride.
I know. But the unique part is that what you're able to do is that you're not only involved as kind of a leader in these organizations and putting things forward, but you also are kind of a master being able to get out there and tell that story and share it with the world. Uh, Tell us about that.
Well, it's because I've had an amazing mentor and tutor called Matt Skellerin. I love going to all of your workshops and seminars, and I take everything that you do to heart, and I implement it right away. Like as you're teaching it at the different workshops that I've met you at, I start implementing it immediately, and it's amazing how it just all of a sudden just has become really quite natural. And I've really adapted to the I Love Gay brand, and I use it all the time. And it's just amazing how much it gets amplified, and it's fun being part of that community.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, that's the key that not everybody realizes is that it comes. We have a team, and they see your posts right away because the way you tag them, and it's all about tapping into a network, and we're all kind of engaged with each other. And not everybody realizes kind of like that's the magic of social media, as being engaged as a two-way street, treating it as like there's a person on the other side.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
a lot of people asked us, straight, gay, everything in between, about our travels, and they wanted advice. They were going here, they knew that we had been, they wanted to know where it might be safe, or where families would enjoy spending time, or what there was to do with kids. And so I started writing these really long emails, and then somebody said, hey, you should start a blog. And I'd always been kind of intimidated by the whole blogging world, and just the commitment of time and energy it takes. But I was already kind of doing it for my friends. So it just kind of transferred online, and it went from there.
That was great. So now go to the description and click on the link for the next question in our travel influencer video series.